Hello viewers, Fan Steve here once again. It is Wednesday the 30th. Today we are going to be doing an inspection of this Homart cooler that I acquired this week. You all saw in the last video that I posted yesterday, the fan is working, everything is moving. But since this is my first time ever working with a fan like this, I'm just going to be going over what needs to be corrected, or just what I need to work on, if anything needs to be repaired, replaced, so on and so forth. Everything seems to be fine mechanically and electrically. So hopefully, hopefully the only thing on this thing that I'm gonna have to replace so far is the belt. And trying to think about on whether or not I'm gonna repaint this thing. Maybe I will. I'll come to that conclusion all in due time. But for now, I'm just going to focus on getting it functional mechanically. This is the first belt-driven fan that I have ever owned. And if you look at it, it's really, everything is really simply put together here. This thing is very well constructed. It's really nothing too complex. once you've seen these fans up close. There's the motor mount there that holds the shaft and the blade up. The front guard here was literally just hanging on with these screws here. So I fixed that. And I know that this thing had been messed with a time before, because I don't think that these screws are original, but there's a washer here, and there's one that's missing. So this thing was just literally coming off. Now, the challenging thing about this is that I do believe that this motor has a centrifugal switch to it. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe somebody could explain it to me better. But from what I have seen in the fan groups, that over time that there's a switch inside of these motors that if they get stuck over time, this can lead to a motor failure. Now, I know that this fan is not running at its proper speed. I noticed that it's a little slower than usual on both speeds. That's what I'm going to get to the bottom of in this video. There's supposed to be, well, maybe you can see down in there, but there's supposed to be these couplets on both the front and the back of the motor. And you see these two flathead screws here. Those just come out, and that's where you pump the oil in through there. So that's how you lubricate this thing. So I'm just gonna get this thing cleaned up here, see if I can get it running, and I'm gonna get this thing apart and find out what's going on in here. Okay, so now we can have a closer look at the inside of the fan here. And we can see what's going on, what this thing actually does. These are what are called the shivs. You can call it a pulley or you can call it a shiv, whatever. Shiv there looks like it's seen its better days. It's pretty rusted. And look at that belt. Yeah, that thing it's cracked. It's coming apart. This thing is trash. This thing is definitely getting replaced. There is some resistance even as I'm pulling along here. It's spinning freely. Now, there's one thing in question here as to when the last time this thing was lubricated, if the thing was lubricated properly, or if the thing just had not been lubricated in a long time. I do not know the full history of these fans that I'm buying offline, so that's why that no matter no matter how good of a shape a fan may be, you always want to make sure that you just go over everything, electrically and mechanically, to where you'll know for sure that the fan's going to be running. If there's any problems, you correct it to extend its life. So, I'm going to get this belt off of here. Maybe I can do this one-handed. Alright, well. Alright, I'm going to have to put the camera down. Okay, so I got the belt off. And I am sorry, folks. I do not have a tripod anymore. I need to get a new one, so just kind of bear with me here. Okay, so the blade is turning freely. It's not locked up or anything. It's still wallowing. And it looks like, it literally feels like this is dragging too. This should have a long spin down time to it. There are the oil ports. There should be couplets, but there's not. It looks like it's just this little cap here. Maybe you can see down in there, but there in the back it's the same thing. So, I think these were supposed to pop up. And first, let's have a look inside of here. Maybe I can do this one-handed. Alright. Well, I didn't have to struggle getting these loose. Okay. Look in there. Oh, man. Oh, man. If that is what I think it is. Look on the front of the shiv here. Yep. If that is not dried oil, it's lubricant grease. Yep. Not good. Cannot do this. Cannot do this. So, there's our answer to our little problem here. So this is why the fan was dragging the way that it was. Because of the grease that some airhead put in here. And that is a big no-no. So now I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to clean that stuff out of there and everything, because this is liable to cause problems. You do not lubricate any fan with any grease at all. But this shouldn't be a problem. If I can just, this is all going to have to come apart anyway. So, yeah. Maybe I can get help. Maybe I can get help from others on how I can clean this stuff out. I think that there's a shaft in here, in this little sleeve thing, and this comes out and the blade comes off, and then the shaft is supposed to slide out. I think I remember seeing a video of this one time. I think I need to go and look at that again. So yeah. Obviously, the people that had this fan before did not lubricate it properly. And as for the motor here, let's clean that off. Okay, so that just pops right out. Can we look down in there? Okay. Maybe you can see down in there. Okay, so if you look down in there, I do believe that is the felt, the material that is supposed to hold the oil. And meshing down on that, and I'm not seeing any oil coming out. So, yep. Didn't think that this thing had been oiled or lubricated. So, if the price is right, this thing was just not, it was not cared for properly. So, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get this is the correct kind of oil, I do believe. Let me go ahead and get that off. Okay, let's see if I can get that back one off. Okay, so now I got the rear cap off. Maybe you can see that. Okay. A little more. Okay, try to work that in a little bit. Okay, so that has a better spin down time to it. Now I just need to, let me try to work with this and see if I can get this apart. Okay, so now I have the fan outside here to where I can work and I'm not going to make a mess. So I'm going to see if I can try to get the sheave and the blade here freed. And I'm going to use this Allen head key. Alright, so I got that loose. Didn't have any problems getting those undone. So, alright, so there's the sheave. And there's the shaft. And yeah, that's grease. How there's a resistance there as I'm tugging it back and forth. I'm going to see if I can get this blade off. Alright, I'm going to have to put this down because this is going to be a two-hand job. Alright, so now I have the blade freed. That is a hefty blade too. Definitely has some weight to it. What's up, Richard? Okay, so here's the shaft. It should slide right out. Okay, maybe you can see that. Yep, just as I suspected. It's covered in oil and grease. Okay, there's the inside of the bearing. Maybe that shouldn't be too much to clean out. I'm sure that I can do it somehow. Get that cleaned off. While I'm at it, I'll go ahead and I'll get this fan spruced up here. It's gonna be a chore, but I can get it. It's gonna look pretty good. Okay, so there's one more thing that I need to clarify. Okay, so this is where the switch comes, sorry, not the switch, this is where the power cord comes in. And this is another little power cord down here that comes out through the motor, and this is just plugged in together. I don't know if you can see it, but I don't like how that plug there looks. I mean, it's cracked right down the middle. I'm gonna have to get this motor out to see if there's any frayed wiring. So I'm gonna have to see if I can get that repaired. Maybe it shouldn't be too hard. If the wiring is not frayed or cracked or anything, then that should be easily replaceable. Still debating on whether or not maybe I can keep the cord. I really wouldn't see any need to change it. I probably would take my chances just putting a fresh new cord on this altogether, particularly a grounded cord. Figure out how to do that. But I'm just gonna work with this and see what I can do with this one. Just focus on this in the meantime. Okay, so now I have the motor freed, and boy, wee doggy, is this sucker heavy. Let's move that to where we can have a better look at things here. Okay. Craftsman appliance motor, continuous duty, 1.6 horsepower, 115 volts, 1150 to 1750 RPM, 115 volts, 4.26 amps, sorry, 2 amps, 60 cycle. There's the model number. And these motors were built specifically for these fans. Sears, Roebuck and Company, USA. There's something down there. Let's make out of that. Yeah. Okay. There's where the wiring is. I think that's where the wiring and all comes in. Now, I watched the video of this. There was a video of this same fan about 5 or 6 years ago, and he's taking the fan all apart, and he's fixing it up and restoring it and everything, and then he takes this part out, and then the fan was not wired up properly. It ran, but there was only like a high and low, and he somehow got everything all wired back up. He thought that there was a capacitor in here, or something like that, and he somehow had the thing hooked up to some kind of auto transformer, and this is wired up to where you can actually operate it with a remote control. And I've even seen that there are ways that you can reverse this. I have had no experience with that. I'm not going to get into that right now. As of now, my only priority is getting this cleaned up and running good. So, and there is the plug there. I can have a closer look at that. Yeah, thing's a little worn out there. It's rotting and decaying. Definitely gonna have to change this. Shouldn't be too hard to do. Pretty neat. Here's a look at the inside where the motor used to be. And this here is what I would to believe what was the core grip or the grommet. What's left of it. It's come all apart here. So, yeah. Well, I can go ahead and get this thing all cleaned up here. I'm going to get that thing off, and I'm going to see if I can get that cleaned out. Get all the grease and whatnot cleaned out. That shouldn't be too hard to do. There's a special strategy on how to fully clean this, but I'm just gonna do it the best I can. I'll probably just take like a towel or some paper towels or something, or some Q-tips, and I'll just go clean it out really well, and then I'll put some 3-in-1 oil in there, and this should be good to go after a good cleanup. So let's do this.